he hasn't lost a step. But for 4 of our competitors, the road has already come to an end. And for 4 more, they find themselves clinging to hopes of world champion, including fan favorite, Mohamed Light. By the end of today, we will give away 200,000 more. Oh.
Thank you, Andrew, for kicking us off. I'm Rich Slayton, that's Joshua A.C. Sharon, 2-time Regional Clash Royale League champion, if you're checking your notes, and this is day 2 of our Clash Royale League World Finals. We are in the second phase, meaning eliminations happening all throughout the day.
Yeah, and you do not want to be there. We have our 4 still perfect, and that's what we want to be seeing.
16 players started off in a double elimination bracket. Of course, 4 of those left yesterday. We're doing BO3 matches using the dual format, meaning you may not repeat cards throughout this event. You play Hog Rider game 1, no Hog in game 2, no Hog in game 3, and of course, we're gonna work our way until there is 1 player, 1 person, 1 champion named for this Clash Royale League 20.
What is going to happen today? $250,000 going to first place, $125,000 for second, $80,65 for third and fourth, $50,000, $40,000, $30,000, and $20,000 already locked up to the first 4 competitors that were knocked out yesterday.
And of course, all 12 remaining right now have taken home $30,000 already, and each match the stakes get higher and higher. With that in mind, let's check in on our bracket. As we look at the upper side of things, we have some gargantuan matchups in round 2 of the winners bracket. Kicking things off, it's Sandbox up against the enigmatic Sweep. Then a battle of former friends turned enemies, Lucas X Gamer against Samuel Basoto. And then Josh, match 15. We get this on day 2. 2 of the all-time greats in Morton and Mugi.
Morton and Mugi going against each other, the battle of the composed against the skilled. I cannot wait to see it. And I mean, okay, both of them are skilled, both of them are composed. We've seen that from day number 1. We've seen that from their careers.
Let's go take a look at how the casters came together on their predictions for this one. Of course, Juicy J looked like he had the best results yesterday. Today, we are all over the place. 3 of us picking Sweep, only 1 picking Sandbox, maybe a bit of a live underdog in that one. Lucas, 3-1 lead on Samuel Basoto. And then look at this, the desk picking Morton, except for my guy right here going with his roommate, the God RF, picking Mugi. And then in that last match, 3 for Air Surfer and Sweep, the lone one picking KK. Of course, that might be one of the tightest matches of the day, KK versus Air Surfer.
Yeah, absolutely. Air Surfer put on a show, and you have to give credit to KK. I mean, taking out who he took out, no one saw it coming except him, except a lot of the fans, actually, because he is one of those fan favorites.
Well, to get things kicked off, let's jump right in. Andrew Guy, give us our first match.
While they have 2 incredibly different play styles, they both found success on day 1, giving them a berth on day 2 and securing $30,000. Welcome, Sandbox and birthday boy, Sweep!
And that is right, a very happy birthday to Sweep, but of course Sandbox looking to give him the worst gift of all, and that's a trip away from our World Finals. And Andrew did say it really well. This is 2 players with very, very different play styles. You have Sweep on one side, who might be the most unpredictable person here at this World Finals, whereas Sandbox is one of the best live deck pickers in the entire tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at that win rate, 92%. You have to be so excellent in every single facet of the game. That, you know, we've talked about Sandbox's skill with Cycle and with Beatdown. Nobody else can really, you know, juggle the 2 win, the win styles like he can.
These 2 players have already met this season, and it was Sandbox coming out on top in that matchup, running Royal Giant, Archer Queen, and then Pigs recruits the Fireball bait variation against Sweep on the other side of things. Man, you look at what Sweep has done in that one. He did his best, hang in, but it was Sandbox who came out on top.
Yeah, and right now, I do think that without live experience, Sandbox would have the advantage. But Sweep, he's just so special when he's on the stage.
Well, prognostication is just that. It doesn't give us results. Let's get our first one going down to the floor for our first match, Sandbox and Sweep. Very curious to see what Sweep opens with here in this matchup. He usually saves either Graveyard or Royal Giant for game number 3. Those are his two go-tos in the final stanza. Of course, in a situation like this, maybe you go with the go-to early on.
And I'm pretty sure those are the first recruits of the World Finals. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I know I don't have the data right in front of me, but certainly I'll be happy to have those. And this matchup with Mighty Miner on the board.
Yeah, and when he pops that ability, it's always... Okay, the Mortar will be able to pull, and I think he should be fine with this. We do see him nod his head, so that's always a good sign when you are the player defending. The Royal Recruit does get it down low, but the Musketeer, what a strong card, able to take out the Bloom before it hits the tower.
When's the last time you saw 6 Loon, Josh? It has not been played much as of late. Balloon, in particular, not very popular at the moment, and 6 Loon, kind of a couple metas ago.
That's right. I do wonder if he is going to go with the Lumberjack in that 6 Loon, or if we're going to see the addition of Champions. I really feel like it's just been so long that I don't even know if Champions were released. There we go. We do see the Lumberjack in this deck, and I'm just really wondering what that last card will be.
Definitely high possibility of a spell of some sort. Currently only running Snowball is the Canadian Sweep, who of course is making a return World Finals appearance after that phenomenal run for Pain Gaming in 2020 where they took out Nova and made it to the top 4.
With 1 minute and 10 seconds left, Mighty Miner cycled in the back once again, just trying to wait to pop its ability. We do see it take out the first shield, and I think that's really going to be the style that he chooses to use that Mighty Miner. It's going to be tower plus shield taken off, and then he pops that ability every single time.
AQ to meet the Mighty Miner. We'll do a little bit of work on the Musketeer as well. Goes into the ability. Going to take one shot, 26-10 on the right-hand side. Currently Sandbox with the lead. Sweep in it, though.
I love that he's going with the Mortar on the right side in that specific angle. That means he can use the Musketeer on the left, and then it will be able to help out if the Balloon crosses in time. It's kind of in an okay spot, and that is a great snowball back. Musketeer not going to help out on that Loon, but Sandbox is just going to respond with another Musketeer. Doesn't even matter.
Now 2 Muskies to the left-hand side. Sweep going to go Fisherman to deal with those. And the poison to get the Fisherman off this Musketeer caught by the recruits.
Mighty Miner in the middle, and we do see the guards in the middle as well. No ability pop just yet. We see it, ability plus delivery plus everything is going to be able to knock this out right now, but the Archer Queen will be able to survive full health across the bridge. In
sudden death overtime, things have not changed much. Sandbox adding little bits of chip to that lead. Sweep needs to find a way through, and Josh looking at Mortar, Ice Spirit, Musketeer, and of course that poison. It feels like that's going to be a tall order.
It is, but that's the thing with these Lumber Loon decks, and that's why it's so enjoyable to cast these matches. You have so many different opportunities. No other deck in the game allows you to get that aggressive, have that many opportunities on top of the tower.
Guards doing a great job protecting that Musketeer. Takes a shot, but still alive now. Offensive Mortar out from Sandbox. Does not target tower, and the recruits do come up in time. So this is so far been a slow, methodical, very intelligent battle on both sides.
Yeah, right here, Musketeer is cycled to the left side. We do see the Lumberjack at the bridge. Loon will follow closely behind. Rage plus Balloon, not even going to be that dangerous. Sandbox has set himself up beautifully every single time, and look at that ability be used. Pushes it into the Musketeer. What a play.
Here we are in triple elixir. Josh, what does Sweep have to do to break through here?
I don't know. That's the thing. Sandbox is cycling so perfectly. Cycling the Mortars, cycling the Musketeers, protecting the Musketeers. No offensive big spell has allowed him to defend easily. I think he's doing everything that he can. Maybe try, and this is it. I couldn't think of it, but that's why he's the pro. Sweep going in with the Loon in the back behind the Crown Tower. I love that play.
And recruits do protect here. Musketeer out of the way. Back to a second Mortar will be very simple here for Sandbox. Should be in hand now. Musketeer plus Ice Spirit looking to work. Second Loon down. and the mortar up high, and those mortars could, I believe, chain that balloon. And this looks like it's going to be a GG well played. Unless something crazy happens in 12 seconds, Sandbox has secured game number 1.
This was domination from the start, and Sweep did nothing wrong. That's the thing. When you run these kind of decks, sometimes you can play a perfect match. Not going to matter. Sandbox going to take the win in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, that was just perfect Clash Royale from Sandbox. Never got caught flat-footed, never overspent. Recognized the matchup very early and planned everything out with perfection.
This is, I was able to say it yesterday, and I said it about Sandbox as well. That was slightly boring to watch. He just played everything right. No mistakes whatsoever. Cycling perfectly, cycling perfectly, cycling perfectly. Game over. I love seeing that in Clash Royale.
And that's the most funny thing. You know, you talk about this game at this level. What you want to see really is a boring game in a lot of cases.
Yes.
And that's what it was. It was just cool, calm, collected. Sandbox absolutely shutting things down.
I just loved how he used those Musketeers throughout the game, and just the Mighty Miner as well. He was using it perfectly on top of the recruits, but then he had that one play, that play where he pushed the loon into the middle even more than it was originally going to go. Like, Sweep was trying to use his offensive snowballs to push the Musketeer out, and it wasn't mattering just because of how Sandbox was using his cards.
The control was very nice. Let's look at how you picked for this matchup. Did you pick Sandbox or did you pick Sweep? Of course, most of us picking Sweep, maybe feeling that he had the mojo, and Sandbox certainly nervous yesterday. We saw his hand shaking on the tower a little bit, but maybe that one game was all he needed to get rid of those nerves.
Yeah, actually, so I was doing a little bit of research. In these original matchups, I have Sandbox rated the highest out of any of these 4 players. I gave him a score of 27 out of 10, meaning all of his games played, he had an average of a 9 out of 10 skill rating on how he played the matchup.
Well, Sandbox 65 to 35. If you go with Josh's how you rate things, that's like a 7,000 to a 27. I don't really know. You have to do that math for me one more time of how you rate more than 10 out of 10. But you know what?
Did I say 27 out of 10?
You said 27 out of 10.
27 out of 30. Each match is 10 full points. That's on me. That's on me. Won't happen again.
Okay, 27 out of 30. But of course, you picked 65-35 in favor of Sandbox. We just saw almost 100-0 in terms of matchup.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the thing. It's only 100-0 when you play it that way. I don't know how he played it that way. It was fun to watch.
Absolute brilliance. Let's go ahead and see what happens in game number 2 right now. Yesterday it was Sweep with the really compelling theory crafting late in the game with Zappies and Fisherman both out. Went for the E-Giant Mini P.E.K.K.A. EQ deck and got a very nice win over Ardent. Of course, less information here in game number 2 than in that game 3, but let's see if Sweep has something else compelling to pull out now.
Sandbox could be going back to his RG deck, and we do see him wince in pain. That is not what he wanted to see. The Mega Minion must have a good matchup over most of his cards. And we see the Sparky come out. So
look at Sandbox's, look at Sweep's face, man. Both of them kind of laughed here. And, you know, you don't expect to see a lot of Sparky at World Finals, but that is the difference in duels, right? The more information you get over time, and, you know, we've seen Sweep play stuff like Giant Bowler, GY. He's willing to go, and it's Giant GY Sparky. If this were anywhere else, I would say, what in the world are you doing? But at World Finals, with the information we have, we got to think Sweep has something in mind.
There we go, but Sandbox still, I mean, what a defense right there. Defending it perfectly, he will be able to have.
Look at the right-hand tower.
Right-hand tower, A65, only 3 elixir for Sweep. Sandbox in a prime position to take a 2-0 set victory.
Zappies, and of course the Skeleton King and that Tombstone, 3 really important pieces. Going to be really hard, I think, for Sweep to find some way, especially without NATO, unless he's somehow running NATO in this nonsense. Unless he has a NATO, I don't know how he finds a way past all those troops to make the Sparky shoot.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And Sandbox, his earlier play of going Skeleton King to the right side, I was kind of wondering what the reason for that was, and then we saw it right there. If he has enough elixir going down the field, Sweep can't go all in if Sandbox can properly defend. Just brilliant right there, and we see the fireball cycled on top. He knows how to play this matchup. He's going to be able to get to a second fireball if necessary.
The opposite lane pressure, very, very impactful here. Sandbox just needs to play defense and then throw a fireball, and now it's the Mini P.E.K.K.A giant push to the opposite lane. The Skeleton King does take a very important shot. Can this E-Wiz mitigate the damage enough on its own to allow for a big push in the right-hand lane?
Right there, the Fisherman will be able to pull the Giant in a great position right there. Tombstone will be able to go into the middle if he chooses to do so. Fisherman gets the correct yank, but the E-Wiz zaps it off. So if he will be able to make it to the tower, I just don't see it doing enough damage.
Giant doing a whole lot. Arrows in. Skeleton's putting in some real significant work. Sandbox zaps the right-hand tower out of safety and secures the win, secures the match. Sandbox moving on to the next round of the winner's bracket.
That was a brilliant gameplay this entire set. We see him celebrate on top of the stage. A well-deserved victory. That couldn't have been played better. That was a perfect set for our set number one.
Yeah, that was just absolute brilliance from Sandbox top to bottom. Didn't get caught flat-footed. Sweep, doing what Sweep does, going with some strange stuff. It kind of feels like he had a clear game plan for game one and game two, coming out with such insane stuff, but Sandbox able to stay in the pocket and not get shook by it. Let's go ahead and find out what he was expecting maybe and how he feels after that game number one.
Sandbox, congratulations. With that win, you just secured $50,000. How does it feel?
5천만 원을 세팅했는데 기분이 어떠신가요?
대한민국 가서 부모님들과 함께 좋은 시간 보내고 싶습니다.
He wants to return to Korea and have a great time with his family.
Well, and Sandbox, you are now in farther and farther. How do you feel about your next opponent?
다음 상대에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요?
상대가 누구죠?
Next opponent.
Well, it's the way. Never mind. All right, back to you guys on the desk. That was my bad.
Well, you know what? Either way, he's going to have another tough outing after this one, as he'll be facing the winner of our next match. We'll get more on that one in just a minute. But Josh, this was what we expected from Sweep, wild decks. But again, sometimes we talked about this during the last episode of 3 Crowns. Sweep has a tendency to take big swings, but big swings sometimes leave your chin high in the air.
Yeah, that's right. As we take a look into deck number one, I mean, I love what Sweep came out with. I think it does. It approaches the game differently than a lot of those other crazy decks. You know, the Sparky, and the difference between a Sparky and a Lumber Loon, it's going to have a lot more pressure. You can do all sorts of things. You have an early defense. I mean, we saw what happened in Ardentois' game 3. An early start can just win you the game right there. Sandbox's defense, Musketeer, delivery, Mighty Miner activation of its ability, and the Mortar, he couldn't get past it.
Well, the big question here as we go into deck number 2 is, these two decks are both wild, both out there, but they both feel almost like, I mean, the first one used to be meta, this one certainly not meta. They both feel like game 3 decks rather than game 1 decks. It kind of feels like yesterday he went with meta early and then theory crafted in game 3, whereas this time he just came out swinging right out the gate.
Yeah, that's right, and I especially love that call just with deck number 2. When we look at it, it doesn't really do well against anything. You don't look at it and say, oh, that's going to match up well against Hog. Because if you go against Hog, I mean, yes, you have the Mini P.E.K.K.A, but then he Fireball cycles, has so many opportunities. You see Earthquake cycles and Archer Queen. So I really don't like that for a game 1 and game 2.
Well, it was both games for Sandbox, who put together a masterclass performance. A lot of you might look at those decks and go, oh my gosh, panic, 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 but that's what a pro does, takes in the information, starts off slow, and then of course gathers that for a proper read on things overall. And of course, there was some interesting moments here, and to help us out, breaking some of those down, we've got Jax and Juicy J Wall. Juicy, this was a strange match overall. You of course know Sweep very well, and this is one where it feels like Sandbox was just playing reactive Clash Royale.
Absolutely. I think that Sweep was really trying to maybe snipe the more solid Sandbox RG, not the Mother Witch, Skelly King RG. He had a lot of single targeting units like the Mini P.E.K.K.A. We didn't have a good way to deal with all of those units, and he just wasn't able to hit that snipe, and I just think he was overall over-aggressive. Let's hop into this Telestration if we can. All right. So he played Sparking back. He went for the Giant. At this point, it's really aggressive to go with the Graveyard here. I think at this point he should be going for only this Giant Sparky push, maybe supporting it by going for this Graveyard. Even though the Mother Witch is out of cycle, the defense on Sandbox's end with these Zappies and the Barb Barrel, where Sweep doesn't have enough elixir to counter those units as well as defend the Skeleton King, it just was over aggressive. You can see Sandbox's celebration here. you know, Sweep just not having the correct splash units to deal with that Skeleton King and over-aggression, and at this point, the game's lost.
And yeah, you make a very good point here. This was still early in single elixir. I mean, when we see that Skeleton King down the right-hand side, barely a minute of gameplay has passed. This seems like a deck that would have been maybe a bit more frustrating to deal with in double and triple.
Absolutely, yeah. You go Sparky and back, you do get the value. Like I said, maybe go for a giant, support it with a Mega Minion, save a decent amount of elixir for that push on the right, at least a Mini P.E.K.K.A. or a Mega Minion on top of that, and then maybe save that graveyard for a surprise factor, like you said, in the triple elixir.
Well, after a very quick match number 1, we are ready for match number 2. Andrew Guy, take it away.
While they both represent Brazil, old friends have become new enemies in our competitive scene. Please welcome Lucas X Gamer and Samuel Basoto.
This is one of the more compelling matchups on paper here, Josh. You know both these guys very well. Your former teammate, Samuel Basoto, and of course, Lucas, one of the top 5 players on the planet. And again, as it's been mentioned, both formerly very, very close, had a bit of a falling out as of late, and I wonder how that impacts the gameplay on stage.
Yeah, Samuel, yesterday on Twitter, he was talking about Doom, so he keeps getting these matchups where he's going against rivals. He's going against these people that he really wants to beat. It's always interesting, it's always amazing in Clash Royale when we have that storyline right here. 2 ex-great friends, now bitter rivals.
And you talk about play style, both of these guys are known for being top-tier, fast cycle players. Do you imagine either one of these guys going away from that? Are they going to go, hey, I want to outplay you today on this stage?
And that's the thing. That's why I love these kind of matchups, because we could easily see that happening. That's what I want to say. I'm not going to say what I predict will happen. I'm going to say what I want to happen. I want to see 2 mirror matchups in game 1, just a mirror matchup game 1, game 2, and game 3. I want them to talk before the broadcast, before the show, and say, these are the 3 decks we're running.
And that is one of those big stunts. You come out there and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you what I'm going to do. You give me what you're going to do, and we'll see who's the best player on the planet. Mirror matches, as you mentioned, that does change things a lot, because now some people say it's the most competitive. Some say it's more about knowing how to play that specific mirror matchup.
Yeah, and actually, if you would have asked me 2 days ago, I would have said, you know, it can be a cycle, it can be whatever. But I forgot who it was. Oh, I was so excited. Somebody yesterday, I'm going to look back in the tape. I'll come back on the broadcast in, 30 minutes, whatever it is. But they played the mirror match so brilliantly that it changed my mind completely on it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can happen. Of course, a lot of that is knowing what the key cards are for that mirror match, what you protect, what you don't protect, where you have to cycle first. But of course, talking about mirror matches is to the side. We don't even know if we have one yet. What we do know we have right now is Lucas and Samuel. And you talk about the history of these 2 players, of course, both very similar in age. Samuel Basoto joined you, of course, in CRL for a short time and helped you guys win that Clash Royale League Western Championship in the spring of 2020. On the other side of that, Lucas came up as a Hog player, was known at one point as one of the top 2.6 Hog cycle players on the planet, and of course has moved a lot, even in 2020, starting off his campaign with Pain Gaming, not being the greatest head-to-head player despite expectations, moved over to 2v2, and that completely changed the fates of Pain Gaming.
And right here, we do take a look at the predictions. I think it was 51% Lucas, 49% Basoto.
That feels right.
That feels absolutely correct. I think there's a little error, though. I think it should have said 50-50.
Yeah, 50-50 might have been more on the nose, and of course, we're going to go ahead and waste no more time. Let's jump right in and see who comes out on top, Lucas X Gamer or Samuel Basoto. And I'm just going to let you guys sit with this one for a moment. As you can feel the tension in the room, the crowd has gotten to a murmur. And Samuel going out with the Ice Spirit and Skeletons. And looking like Higgy's EQ. Bowler out for Lucas.
Bowler plus Golden Knight. It could be a weird drill, could be a loon, could be a graveyard. Probably going to be one of those 3. Basoto going in with the quick cycle. That's exactly what we want to see from, we're getting it from one of these players.
I feel like we've seen a lot more Bomb Tower this weekend already than I anticipated.
Yeah, that's right, and I really want to know what the reasoning is for that. I don't think, I guess Giant Skeleton and Mirror did something that the bomb tower couldn't handle, and now it's back in full form.
And so it is a freeze deck, and Lucas getting rid of that surprise early on. Of course, Bowler does make freeze exceptionally likely by comparison to a lot of other cards in the deck, but now, what does he have for these piggies? It's gonna be the Zappies.
And we could see the Earthquake log. We do see the Earthquake, and the log missed. No, okay, so we got one of the piggies to the King Tower, but look at that damage down to 1409. This could be a situation where we see log EQ cycle for the rest of the game, mixing in just 1 or 2 Royal Hogs.
First 90 seconds away, and it is Samo with a clean sheet so far, 30-52 on both towers. Lucas taking the brunt of the damage. Significant damage now on that left-hand side. And, you know, big question here, Josh. We don't talk about leaked elixir a whole lot, but you see 5.4 already leaked by Lucas, and that's the difference between the, you know, a little bit less than the difference between those hogs. You gotta wonder if maybe some slow decision-making there as he wanted to know what to do with the queen, put him in a bit of a hole.
Yeah, that's right. It's just so awkward for him. Almost every single time he plays any card, Samuel Basoto is going to have a good answer for it. We do see the log with the Royal Hogs freeze on defense. So that's 7 elixir, but Lucas is playing 8 elixir on defense, and we're still gonna see the Archer Queen get plenty of value, and a great Ice Spirit right there, going to allow him to take out most of the Baby Dragon.
And look at Samuel taking advantage of that elixir to get the EQ cycle in early. 10:05 on the left-hand tower, and still, Samuel Basoto has not given up any damage on either tower.
Right here, this is Lucas's big push up to 10 elixir. What is he gonna place in front? It's not the Loon, it is going to be the Graveyard. Will he try to protect it before it crosses the bridge? We are gonna see the Golden Knight get
What
the
a
dash.
dash.
Almost dashes on everything. And we need to see a bomb tower right there. Ice Spirit goes up top, and that's what he needed. If it would have gone down, that could have been very dangerous. Instead, a great defense from Basoto.
That was beautiful from Basoto. You have the bomb tower and then the delivery to clean things up at top. So Samuel going with a little bit more traditional deck at the moment. Of course, Bowler GY Freeze is not completely out of the meta, but it's not central for sure.
With 7:27 left on the Crown Tower, this is certainly Samuel's advantage right now. We see the Royal Delivery on top. That way he can use a log or Earthquake. This interaction, we are going to see the Earthquake. I expect in triple elixir, that's when he kind of gets to Earthquake cycle as the troops are crossing the bridge, and then Earthquake on defense after the Graveyard has started stacking skeletons.
And this is where things get interesting, right? Does Samuel make a push to finish that tower, or does he play a ton of defense? That EQ, in many ways, his best response to the Graveyard.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's just going to be defense, 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 because the Archer Queen will just win every single bridge battle. You can't cross the bridge when the Archer Queen has its ability in its pocket.
And you see the answer right there already as the Earthquake cycle starts in for Samuel Basoto. Now a big push coming the opposite direction. Already back to Earthquake, but stacking at the bridge is Lucas. We are in triple elixir. This is where a deck like Graveyard Freeze can put the pressure on, and here we go. Inferno Dragon at the bridge, Bowler right behind, Royal Delivery to hold on, but this is stacking quite nicely. Baby Dragon to the left-hand side, AQ to hold, goes to ability. The Freeze trying to maybe get stuff off the board, but Josh, this feels like Samuel's got this pretty well locked up.
Yeah, I think Lucas's push was great. I think he did what he could, but Basoto's defense was just too solid. It wasn't perfect, there was mistakes, but really all we're looking for is solid. Gets the tower down to 171, just needs to get those logs, those EQs, stopping everything at the bridge. Bomb tower follows, not gonna need it, and there we go. Game 1 gonna go to Basoto.
And you see the GY Freeze in, Samuel Basoto keeping himself calm, keeping himself focused. As you said, the EQ log, all he needed, locked it down, got it done, and now goes up game number 1.
Yeah, phenomenal gameplay from Basoto right there. Everything was just, he got way too much damage early on. I think really it comes down to he played spectacularly. He did exactly what he needed to do, but I think we can look at earlier on in the game, and that one we can just analyze whether or not Lucas should have set himself up for success.
Yeah, that's a hard one because, again, Lucas's deck cycles very slowly by comparison, and recognizing, hey, once Bowler's out of there, how many more responses is it likely for Lucas to have to shut down a Royal Hogs push? Samuel got the good read early on, got those piggies in, got a ton of damage, and it does feel like that single elixir damage, a pretty key part of that matchup.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it really comes down to the 6 Elixir leads compared to the 1.5 as we headed into double. It was just so awkward for him every single time. Bowler is just a weird card. You know, you get Bowler against Royal Hogs, and it's a bad matchup. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, again, that gets back to you have Bowler, but again, how quickly can you get back to Bowler over and over again, right? That's one of those big challenges, and Samuel doing a good job of capitalizing on those openings and taking a big game number 1. Now, here's the interesting part, though, is that now it does feel like there's more information given to Lucas than to Samuel, because a lot of the cards in that Bowler Loon Freeze deck aren't necessarily popular elsewhere, especially that Bowler GY Freeze. Bowler and the Freeze in particular don't take a lot away, whereas Samuel just played a lot of the key elements for cycle decks.
Yeah, I mean, you have the Log, the Skellies, the Ice Spirit, and just the Earthquake in general, and all 4 of those are so necessary when you are running those cycle decks. It does put him in a spot, but obviously I think it's better to be in this spot with a Game 1 victory.
Absolutely true. We'll see what they have in store for us, you know, both with log out and delivery out. It does feel like that opens up bait quite a bit.
That's right. Yeah, and I mean, we both know how talented both of these players are at the quick cycle decks.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. Game number 2 right now. Let's also keep in mind that with NATO out, that opens up some good options for Samuel, both with potentially, you don't think you'd see Hog, of course, having played all those cycle cards already, but maybe a Miner deck here.
That's right. I do like the Miner as an option for Basoto. You still have the Mortar, you still have the Miner. We've seen all sorts of variations with Snowball plus Poison, plus, you know, Musketeer or Archer Queen. Yeah, he used the Archer Queen in game number 1, so we just see the Musketeer swap, and you have a brilliant Mortar deck.
So a bit of a staring contest here. I think this is our first one so far of our 2020 World Finals. And for those of you watching at home, some of you might not be familiar with this or think this is kind of strange or out there. Josh, talk to me a little bit about why these players might wait for the first 2 minutes before they actually play.
Well, I mean, we saw it in game number 1. When you don't have the right cycle, you don't want to play. You want to try and get in the right cycle if possible. Otherwise, you're fine with waiting until double elixir. And the other thing is, when you have a big deck, a tanky deck where you want the lava, but you need that push behind it, you can't get enough elixir if you're playing immediately. So you want to use the lava once you hit the double, then you get to go Skeleton Dragons, the Baby Dragon, the Mega Minion behind, and you can just win in one push instead of losing in one push if you attempt early on.
And for a long time, of course, it was with the beatdown decks, with Golem, with Lava, with those heavy decks, even Graveyard, where you might wait for a long time before you actually play. You want that double elixir. But as we've seen the level get higher and higher of gameplay, it wouldn't be shocking if one of these two players was playing a cycle deck and just wanted to play reaction as opposed to getting out there first.
Yeah, and it's so fun to see that some cycle decks just fare really well in the double and the triple, and I think a lot of it has to do with the introduction of champions, because you can just win those bridge battles with the Archer Queens, with the Golden Knights.
And you hear the crowd, they're very excited to see a card played, so let's go ahead and actually do some Clash Royale here, huh?
And there we go. We do see the lava in the back, behind the left side Crown Tower. Golden Knight will be able to cross the bridge. If he wants to NATO pair that, he will be able to hit the tower. Obviously not going to happen. And Bowler in response from Basoto. Basoto, okay, I was going to say he could have copied the deck. Not going to be the case right here, though.
And that Fireball will clear things out a bit there on the left-hand side, get some damage on the tower, but at the moment does feel like Samuel has things pretty well locked down, as he does protect the Inferno Dragon here with the Golden Knight.
I don't think we are going to see an aggressive push, but there we go. We do see the Bowler, so I'm just trying to wait. I was hoping that he was going to have the aggressive push before I had to say anything. Not going to happen, but we do see the freeze used on offense.
And that's that, going for the new Bowler, who's part Magic Archer. Not sure what sort of things were cooked up there in the lab, but going for the lineup. Nice damage. 2095 on the left-hand side. Miner goes right to the Ice Whiz. NATO to pull all of that back, and You know, it does feel like we're seeing a bit of a rise in the heyday of what was once the most devastating combination, Ice Wiz NATO.
Yeah, Ice Wiz NATO and the Inferno Dragon as well. We finally do get to see the offensive push all put together. We see the freeze. The flying machine is going to take out these troops fairly well, not as well as I actually previously expected. Lava, I feel like he should go in for the reset, and that's exactly what we're going to see. I love that play from Lucas.
And Lucas did have a pretty significant elixir advantage there with 4 on the board, plus 1 in the hole, but as you said, decides to reset a bit here instead. Down by quite a lot, 1088 to 2791 on that left-hand side, as we are just 15 seconds away from triple elixir.
Ice Wizard will be able to take out the Skeleton Dragons. Will take its time, though. Inferno Dragon on top of the Mighty Miner is going to be brilliant. Activation already used, so that's why it was able to get so much value.
Miner and the Night Witch.
Oh, look at the Inferno Dragon on the right.
Oh, my word.
Look at the Inferno Dragon on the right.
Will it burn it all the way down?
It's done.
Oh, my God,
It's done.
it does. Lucas can't believe it. Samuel with the double fist pump, and the Inferno Dragon played to work against the Mighty Miner, completely left all on its lonesome, and it just shreds that right-hand tower.
It was never seen. Nobody saw it whatsoever. I only got a slight glimpse at the very end. Basoto going to take another 2-0. That is 2-0 for the first 2 sets in today's matchups.
And this is a guy who there were some questions about coming into this weekend, but Samuel trying to answer those questions with an emphatic, yes, I can, getting things done. And man, that's a very, very quick win there for Samuel. Let's go ahead down to the floor where Andrew Guy is standing by.
All right, Sam, you and Lucas have a little bit of a rivalry going on. How does it feel to take this set off of your opponent?
Você e o Lucas têm uma rivalidade acontecendo. Como é que você se sente ganhando esse set do seu oponente?
Sinto ótimo, foi muito importante ganhar esse set. E é isso, muito feliz.
I feel great. It was very important to win this set, and I'm very happy.
Why did you come out with that deck in game number 2?
Por que você decidiu usar esse deck no segundo jogo?
Tinha uma boa chance dele vir com beatdown tentando me sniper, então eu fui com um deck bom contra beatdown.
Então, there was a big chance that he could use beatdown to try to snap it, so he decided to go with that one.
Samuel secures $50,000 and another round in our upper bracket. Back to you guys.
I mean, that deck in game number 2, how do you feel about just using that and getting that specific matchup?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing in that matchup was the fact that Lucas used a lot of air cards, the Baby Dragon and the Inferno Dragon in that first match, and it made it so Lucas's Bowler and Golden Knight and Zappies were really able to help out with that ground control.
Yeah, right here we are looking at deck number 1, and we do see the Roll Hogs, and they just got so much value. Early on in the match, he was able to get the tower down to 1,500 HP, and then it was just log plus EQ, EQ plus log, log plus EQ. Eventually, the tower gets very low. Lucas was just never able to get that, that one offensive possession that he needs. On to game number 2 right here, and we do see the Inferno Dragon Graveyard against the lava. The Inferno Dragon making it to the tower. It's been a long time since I've seen that happen.
Yup, Lucas just not having a nice reset for something like that. You really need to get that Night Witch down the same lane. Really, you want to be distracting that Inferno Dragon with the Night Witch bats in a matchup like this. But overall, once again, like I said, Bowler, Golden Knight, that sort of thing got so much value here against the ground units in Lucas's deck here.
Yeah, and it was just crazy that Lucas was never able to just get that opportunity. I mean, the entire game, the tower was down to 1,000 HP, and he was still defending. He never had the opportunity to go lava in the front. It was one of those things where I was saying, oh, I'd like a reset, but as soon as he reset, it just put him in a worse position. I've never seen the perfect reset again and again and again just never work out.
I think like you touched on earlier was the Inferno Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Inferno Dragon gained so much value against the Lava Hound, and really difficult since he didn't have a reset to deal with that sort of thing and end up taking the tower on the right-hand side and finishing off that game.
Yeah, and I mean, just tremendous play from Basoto right there. The 2-0 has to feel phenomenal. And really, this is a player that a lot of people did not expect great things. I mean, this is the winner of the first golden ticket. We were not sure what he was going to be able to pull off. Set number 1 and day 1, 2-0. Set number 2 in day 2, 2-0. Anyways, that's the end of that match. Rich, who do we have next?
Next up, it's the kind of match that made all these people come to Finland. Two of the all-time greats. It's Morten and Mugi!
All right, I mean, Juicy, does it get any better than this? Two of the biggest fan favorites in the entire game. This one hurt my heart to have to choose between one or the other.
Absolutely, me too. I end up picking Morten. One of the main reasons for that is in the only match that they've played this year, Morten actually won.
That's right. He beat him in a 2-1 set. He started off doing bait, and then he went to minor poison control. Did not work out well, but he was able to close things out in game number 3. I doubt we'll see the exact same order in all 3 of those games with the decks that they chose, but this is going to be great. Both of them looked indestructible yesterday on the stands. Mugi, it was calm, collected, dialed in, predictive plays. Morten, it was all about that confidence and experience.
Absolutely. I was very surprised by that, actually. Obviously, the 4-time world finalist, Morten, very, very well vetted. He has a lot of experience. Mugi, I didn't expect him to play that calmly on stage like that.
You know, I talked to him afterwards, and I was telling him, hey, Mugi, that E-Spirit plus log prediction to just secure that game was absolutely beautiful. He just looked at me and he goes, easy. Easy.
That is quite the reaction.
I know, you love to hear it, and he's our world champion for a reason. Mugi, in the last not even 12 months, has racked up $250,000 on his own. Obviously, the prize purse from last year's World Finals really added to that, but now we go in. Mugi, Morten, day 2, game 1. Let's go. In that third game in that set back in March, Juicy, it was a very close graveyard mirror match that Morten was able to take the edge over Mugi and win that one set. But as you mentioned, that is the only time they've met this year, and I imagine they're both very excited to see the man standing across from them.
Miner coming in on the right-hand side. Skeleton Army going to clean that up. Flying Machine from Morten, maybe a Lava Miner deck. Skeleton Army and Skelly King on the board as well. Could be a Lava Mirror matchup, but as we know, that Skarmy Skelly King combo is very versatile. Could be Mortar, could be Graveyard, could be a lot of things.
Well, Morten played Mortar for me yesterday, so maybe Mugi wants to do it for me today. I know that's really what it's all about.
And that's exactly what's going to be happening. Musketeer dropped to the bridge here on the left, going to snipe out that Inferno Dragon. Skelly King from Morten going to do a nice job of cleaning up the other Skeleton King, but here's a Mortar at the bridge. Skeleton King ability just barely able to drop here, going to distract that Mortar for a bit here, allow those Skeleton Dragons to take it out.
As 1 minute of regulation ticks away, we have 4 untouched towers, I should say. Maybe even 6, technically, with the King Towers.
Snowball going to make sure that happens and keeps going as well, pushing those Skeleton Dragons back, preventing any chip damage. Tombstone in the middle from Morten here, just going to prevent any sort of miner or mortars coming down. And a Miner plus Bats come to the right here. Miner
goes to the back. Obviously, no NATO going to be in this deck, so Mugi already varying up his placement, something that you need to do very early on, especially at this level. And this matchup gets a little bit interesting as we move forward in double and triple elixir, because the options to clean up air is basically just the Musketeer, and you got to keep baiting out those bats with the arrows, correct?
Absolutely. If you can bait out the bats with the arrows, then Mugi does have the opportunity to spam with the Skeleton King. You can fill up that Skeleton King ability with the Skarmy or your opponent's Tombstone in a situation like this.
So Morten getting a decent counter push coming down this lane, nothing to write home about. But Skeleton King does stay alive. He does pop the ability. Mugi does tick to 10, and a poison will clean all that up with just a little bit of damage in. 24-44 to 27-62.
I really like Mugi's idea to switch lanes, go opposite here, force out some arrows, fill up the Skelly King ability from that Tombstone and his own bats as well. Lava in the back from Morten. I want to see some pressure from Mugi at the bridge here. I think you have to, since the arrows are out of cycle.
Do you think he goes back to the right-hand lane here, or does he double down in the middle?
I think split lane pressure could be useful. Looks like he's going to go for the same lane, though. Very nice poison value there, taking out the Flying Chain and one of those Skeleton Dragons. And look at the Lava Hound, it's gone.
Yep, Bats and Musketeer on top of that lava. No need for a spell, no need for any help there. Yes, 1 Lava Pup or 2-ish gets on tower, but nothing significant here.
Really
24-44, 22-48. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, really nice tombstone from Morton there. Just going to do a good job distracting this mortar once again. And Frontal Drag going to clean that up as well. Flying Machine on the left is going to do its best. I like the Skelly Drags. He's spreading out his units to prevent poison value.
And a great job there, using that Skarmy to protect the mortar, which got the arrows out. And now we see a little bit of an effect of that on the left-hand side here. Down to 16-22. Mugi is playing a very, very nice game number 1.
Yeah, the most
important...
important...
Oh, the Musketeers on the tower. 3 shots. Down to 9-10 already.
That was a lot of damage. The Musketeer protection is on point for Mugi right now. Morton's trying everything in his power to try and take out these Musketeers, but look how much value. Flying Machine's dead. Skelly Dragon's dead. And now here comes the Miner on another push.
Mugi did win his 20-win challenge on his at least first account with a Miner Mortar deck. But in terms of this, he's in our competitive scene. He's gone 50% with Mortar as his win condition. And an easy game 1 win, if you will, for Mugi. Does the Muskie get it or does the Mortar shot get it? It's the Kobe shot from the Mortar, and Mugi's up 1.
Wow, today my predictions are going to the wind. I was first place yesterday, but Mugi's looking like he's very comfortable in this set right now, absolutely controlling that game, never letting Morton ever to have a chance to get a good Lava Hound push.
All right, let's take a look here at a replay that we have as our 2 competitors decide what decks they want to bring out in game number 2. And Juicy, this is where things started to go from bad to worse.
Absolutely. Look at that Musketeer taking out the Skeleton King, then the Flying Machine, and then locking on the tower here. Morton just not able to react quick enough on that one.
Let's take a look here at our community predictions. This one will be a fascinating one. I think a lot of people were probably left with their favorite person and then trying to decide between who they thought would actually win, and the numbers do not lie. 52% to 48%, basically split right down the middle. And if you guys are wondering where we're getting these numbers, event.clashroyale.com. I've already gotten most of the rewards. I got that viewer badge, which was nice because we're here watching it, but you got tower skins, we got gold, we got gems. Make sure you check all of that out at event.clashroyale.com, and of course you can follow along with our entire 3-day Clash Fest there. Back to the action, Juice. Game number 2. You know, I think the best thing here for Morton is that he has a ton of experience on the live stage, winning and losing, so you know he's not going to be rattled by dropping game number 1. But for Mugi, he's been basically perfect through this entire 2022 finals.
He really has the predictions on point, the deck picks on point. I think that's one thing that we thought that Mugi might have troubles with is his own deck picks. I don't know how he's communicating with his analysts and his coaches, but so far it's been perfect.
Telepathically, Juicy, I believe.
Telepathically.
I believe it's telepathic. Yeah, and I also think when you look at his numbers, I love the deck choice in game number 1. As I was talking about, Mugi's only played Mortar 12 times in our competitive CRL format this year, and he was only at a 50% tick there, which is actually not what you would expect him to come out with in game number 1, but then you hop over to the other side of it. He's 69% with Hog Rider, 65 with Graveyard, 80 with Royal Giant, and above 70 at 75 for Drill. So you think he maybe goes to one of his stronger win conditions, or does that become a little bit predictable?
Honestly, I think he does. Mugi is one of those players where he doesn't need to always get that really good matchup. He relies on his skill to outplay his opponent.
That's right. Game number 2 coming your way. You can see there the little bit of a creator badge for Morton, one of the biggest channels in English and in German, getting close to 500,000 subs very, very quickly.
Log here from Morton, followed up by a ghost from Mugi. Giant Skelly in the back. See another Giant Skelly deck from Morton, maybe RG, and most likely a Drill Bridge Spam from Mugi. I'd be really surprised to see P.E.K.K.A Bridge Spam in a situation like this.
100%. Mugi does look like he is going to go to Drill like we talked about. It's his most popular win condition. He's played it 24 times in competitive with a 75% win rate. Morton on the other side of it looks like he could be going with another maybe Drill deck with a different version, you're thinking, or you think it could still be RG?
I definitely think it's RG.
There it is.
Oh, the failed kite on that Golden Knight dash. Huge connection there, but the RG is taking some nice pop shots over here on the right.
Yeah, RG just ticking away on that tower. You can hear the crowd getting excited, but the counter push is coming in. Morton has 6 elixir to deal with it. He's got to deal with the Royal Ghost first, and then the cannon cart, and 1 giant skeleton should be able to do it all.
And that's what this deck is all about, right? You want to have very nice defenses and huge counter pushes with all of your bridge spam units, but unfortunately for Mugi, this Giant Skelly is just going to absolutely clean everything on this lane.
Morten, not a big-time Royal Giant player in competitive. He has played it 18 times. His numbers are really all the way across the board. He's very versatile. But with Royal Giant, he's at 50% win rate as well. So maybe trying to go to something that is obviously not as predictable with the cards that remain after game number 1. This is most likely the game plan from the start, even after that drop of game 1.
And that's the difference here. Mugi going to his comfort, Morten trying to be unpredictable. I really would like to be Mugi in a situation like this, where you know exactly how to play your deck, and the comfortability is going to mean that, you know, things are going to go well for you.
And another Golden Knight connection here for Mugi. Morten cannot catch them. 1959 on one side, but Morten is in the lead with 1766 with that big-time uppercut early on from the Royal Giant.
A lot of elixir expenditure on the left-hand side for that Ghost. Are we going to see an RG to compete and push with this? I don't think so. So Ewiz and Barbara are going to clean everything up here. But
not exactly the interaction you want, but the Ewiz does stay alive. Log actually changed that story quite quickly.
Drill on the counter push. First drill we've seen this match. Ghost is going to pick that up very nicely. Giant Skelly going to prevent that Golden Knight dash finally.
There we go. That's, yeah, finally I think is a great way to put it, Juicy. And I bet Morten feels the exact same way. Now he's trying to turn the tables as 20 seconds remain in our regulation. A lightning comes down to clear the path. But Mugi has 10 elixir. The Giant Skeleton gets to the tower.
Is it there?
That is there.
My God.
It's there. 962 remains. 1959 is the lowest for Morten. And the German swings back into the game.
One Giant Skelly Bomb is all it takes. Mugi had the elixir. Maybe the nerves are starting to come in finally for him as well. Just not able to get that Ewiz down in time.
Yeah, I mean, talk about nerves. I'm pretty sure Morten's heart rate right now is about 37, whereas Mugi's might be around 200.
You gotta be feeling good after a connection like that. I think Mugi does have a chance to maybe come back. You're not in lightning cycle radius quite yet, but you have to have perfect defense from here on out.
And now it's the thing with the late lightning, early lightning, how's it gonna work? You see, this time Morten not doing it too early, but the RG does get, I think, the retarget on the cannon, but the lightning damage came in?
Yep, no RG shots there, only lightning damage. Mugi needs to stack everything in this left-hand side, but the problem with that is you do give the lightning value, so he decides to go in the opposite lane here. Magic Archer in the back, Gold Knight in the back. He needs to build up a very big push in order to come back right now.
Yeah, and the toughest thing with that is we've seen this numerous times already in day one. You just start stacking that Giant Skeleton in the lane that you know your opponent's going to pursue, and it just really clogs it up, and of course that Giant Skeleton bomb makes it really, really tough.
Magic Archer almost always getting taken out by these Giant Skelly bombs. Cannon Cart Ghost on the left-hand side. Bar Barrel plus Magic Archer here on the right to try and get a connection. Quick E-Spear plus Hunter.
Magic Archer lines up. Mugi's got some shots in. The Giant Skeleton turns around. The Giant Skeleton turns around. 528 to 655.
And all of a sudden, this game is really close. Two Giant Skellies on the board, though. Oh, here comes the RG. Can Mugi defend this?
This is huge for Morten. He needs to make sure that RG gets on tower. Mugi lightning, or NATO's it back. No lightning in yet.
Drill on the defense. That is the power of the drill. You can use it for offense. You can use it for defense.
A perfect log. The lightning comes in. It needs to come down, and Morten will even things up. We're going to game 3.
If there's any match in this entire tournament that I want to see a game 3, it's this one right here.
Wow. What a game number 2. And again, you look at Morten and Mugi, both of them have so much experience. They're both incredibly confident. They look incredibly dialed in. And you can see the audience right now losing their minds as you and I lose our voices.
Yeah, losing our voices for sure. We're heading into the third match. We have RG out. We have Mortar. We have Drill out. We're going back. I don't know, I'm guessing we're gonna see some more comfort from Morten in this game 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is Morten, he goes RG, and he goes to Lava Minor in his first 2 games, which is just odd because really, they're not his best win conditions. But you see how well he plays. That's what I was saying at the top of it. Morten is incredibly versatile. Incredibly versatile. I mean, you watch him. He streams 8 hours a day, 8 days a week. So how could he not know how to play through every win condition? He decides to bust it out here on the biggest stage, and you love to see a comfort behind victory in game number 2. But now it's a best of 1 for a secured $50,000. And of course, if you lose this match, you go down to that lower bracket where you could be saying goodbye today.
Yeah, we are going to be going over those elimination matches later. I can see Morten looking at his notes right now. I'm sure he has prepared a lot of different decks for any sort of outcome in the first couple games to switch and modify everything for that duels formatting.
Yeah, whoever loses this match will be sent down to play against Dominic, who had a very, we'll say, unique opening to his World Finals career. However, he was able to stay alive. He was able to secure $30,000 in spite of his unique start, I think, again, is the best way to put it. But that's neither here nor there. Game 3 coming your way in just moments between Morten and Mugi. And who did you say you predicted, Morten?
I did predict Morten. I wanted to take that stage experience. That was my mindset on there. But like I said earlier, Mugi's playing so well for this first time being on stage, and I'm scared I'm going to be wrong.
I know, this is a really, really big moment because losing that safety net of that extra life makes you wonder how they're going to perform once the pressure is on the line. But pressure on the line right now. Game 3, let's go. Stage is set. The players are ready. Morten using a tablet. Mugi also with his creator code on the bottom of your screen with the phone.
Mugi always sending out that good luck before the match. A Goblin Barrel coming from Morten. This is Morten's favorite win condition. He has a very low usage rate because he doesn't want to be too predictable, but when he does use bait, he's got an 83% win rate.
That's right, in only 18 games with bait in our competitive format, an 83% win rate. And if you guys remember last year's World Finals, he had an incredible come-from-behind victory when he looked like he was in a horrible matchup against Mini Minter. But Morten can always, always come back in those final moments.
Speaking of horrible matchup, check this one out. He's got the roll delivery, he's got the log, and he has the Fire Spirit. Mugi has come prepared against Morten for his favorite win condition. On the other hand, Morten does have that bomb tower versus the pigs. That will be useful.
That is a very, very good point that you make, Juice.
Heading into the rest of this match, Morten really needs to try and out-cycle that log and put himself in a situation where Mugi does not have enough elixir to get that roll delivery down in time. That's one of the only ways to get damage in a situation like this.
It's so tough to keep up with the cycle of either of these decks, and you know they're going to be on top of that cycle. Dark Goblin gets some good value here on top of that cannon.
Really nice Queen taking out the Dark Goblin. Generally, that's what you want to be doing. You always want to take out the Glass Cannon with your Archer Queen because she does provide that counter push value in two ways. You have the ability, you can get on tower with that, but you also have the 3-card cycle to cycle a bunch of pigs and maybe outcycle that bomb tower.
You can see there Morten not happy about that one shot, and you know, a lot of people at home might be wondering, it's just one shot, it's still early on, but in this type of matchup when it's quick, it's fast, it's loose, every little stab, every little shot from that AQ counts. It is all very, very important. Mugi on the other side, 11 times he's ran Royal Hogs, and only a 55% clip there.
The other thing about a matchup like this where it's so tight and you're defending each other so well, it's very important every little bit of damage because a lot of the time it's going to come down to spell cycle later in triple elixir.
Exactly.
Guards also very nice versus the Archer Queen. Morten making sure to over-defend his left side tower, our right side tower here, to make sure to not let him increase that damage lead.
I know, you talk about the matchup for Mugi, but like you said, Juice, there's such good responses for Morten as well to deal with the Hog, to deal with the AQ, and that's Snowball. I mean, that's like the spell that you want in this situation. There you go, Snowball comes down, pushes the Hogs away, and the Hogs on the left-hand side getting some great damage in.
The big thing there is Morten was finally able to chip away a little bit with the Goblin Barrel. He outcycled the log. He went for the Goblin Barrel while Mugi was focused on offense. Mugi thought he could do the Ice Spirit or Fire Spirit plus Skeletons combo, but he played the Goblin Barrel in the front. Absolutely huge play.
And he's late on the delivery. Another 3 stab from the Goblin Barrel. 2034 to 2150. Morten feeling himself. He goes, all right, I'm at 10. There's a rocket. And Mugi has to be feeling the pressure.
Bomb tower and Dark Gob on the defense. Wow. There's no way these pigs are going to get through for much. Maybe one hit.
One little piggy snout. That's it.
That's it. But the rocket is so valuable in a situation like this. Earthquake is not enough to keep up with something like that.
Morten goes slightly tricky on that barrel to the back instead of the front.
I really like the idea to play the Arch Queen in the back here, get that 3-card cycle activated, and you need to be spamming pigs and out-cycle that bomb tower. This is your moment.
And I just don't know how he's going to beat this cycle. Morton is so on top of it. The Ice Spirit, I believe, still allowed the Fire Spirit to connect.
It did.
14-13, 11-42, 85 seconds.
Check out, he used this pigs. No, the pigs did not keep the Arch Queen alive. Can he break through this bomb tower right now?
Goblin gets his stab. Piggy's in the lane. Snowball comes down with the Earthquake. 12:51, 9:02. Morton is a couple rockets and a log away. Or Snowball, excuse me.
Skeletons do pick up the Dark Goblin. He's trying to defend.
Dark Goblin's on the tower.
Log comes on the Goblin Barrel. These pigs are chipping away, though. This match is so close. Moore goes for the rocket. Mugi needs to apply so much pressure right now.
Morton going in with the Dark Goblin. He wants that elixir on defense.
It's
He's
on.
gonna come
It's
down.
on.
The Dark Goblin's on. 63 HP.
I don't think Log does enough.
He needs the
definitely
guards.
doesn't.
There's the Mighty Miner. Mighty Miner changes it up. And
There's the rocket. There's the
Morton
rocket.
has
The
done it.
Queen. Oh, the Queen almost got the shot. The Queen almost got the shot. The rocket takes it just in time.
The 4-time world finalist takes down